Gangstabet is Icon's next generation NFT collectibles of 5,555 gangsters and detectives, with changeable names and stats. Holders of Gangstabet NFTs receive daily distributions of GBet tokens. GBet can be used to upgrade their NFT skills and stats. The supply of GBet will decrease over time and will stop after 9 years. Holding Gangstabet NFTs will have opportunities for future airdrops and will give you access to Gangstabet's highly anticipated metaverse. Learn more at gangstabet.io. Shout out to our sponsors at IconBet. Open source, decentralized gaming, no deposits, play straight from your wallet. IconBet, made by the players, for the players. Eye on Icon is proudly supported by Icon Nation and the Icon community. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Eye on Icon, the episode where we go around the ecosystem and get you all the latest and greatest news. With me, he's back, Icongrapher. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. How about yourself?
Yeah, good man, good. I think, late session, we had a Crafters Corner that ran with Wonderland and that will drop if people missed it. But there was an episode me and Ben hosted, and we did Wonderland. Who else we had? We had Framed on. We had obviously the Tamashi Gang on, and then we had we talked about Gallery DAO. But anyway, that Twitter Spaces went for 2 hours, over 2 hours. It was 2 a.m. past 2 a.m. for me. So I'm feeling kind of wrecked this morning, but. And in all honesty, I forgot about Newsday, Friday's Newsday. So I feel like I've gone to sleep talking crypto icon related stuff, and I've woken up and back into crypto icon stuff, which I love.
Hopefully,
of course.
hopefully your dreams at least gave you a break. You weren't dreaming about crypto too, because then that would be hours and hours straight.
I think I did dream of crafting a NFT collection, but I just can't remember what it was or if it was a success. Damn it.
Well, usually when those dreams, when it's crypto involved, there's always a moment where I look at my portfolio and it's worth like $6 million, and I wake up. So.
and then you wake up.
yeah, exactly. So I was gonna say if you mint the NFT collection and then you raise $6 million and then wake up. So probably that would be how the version of my dream of that dream would go for me.
Yeah, I reckon this is what happened as well. I just have no memory. But yeah, look. That aside, it's good to be back. Let's jump in. Markets. Oh, it's been a good week.
Yeah. Well, the last I don't know 12, 20 hours or so. Not as good. We saw a little bit of a dip, but yeah, there was some nice price momentum. I think kind of over last weekend. That's when it got started. We got all the way up to almost 48,000. I don't know if I ever saw 48,000. I might have hit it. Actually, I can just look at my chart here. But certainly some nice moves. I don't know. I haven't been following things enough to know exactly where support and resistance are or anything like that. But certainly, it'd been a while since we'd kind of been in the upper 40s there. So certainly nice to get back in that area. Obviously a little bit of a retrace here, but hopefully we can bounce off that and keep momentum going. Stocks, I think we've gotten. I haven't checked correlation data, but it does feel like we've gotten less and less correlated with the stock market. But that being said, there was quite a dip on the market today, so there could have been a bit of correlation there. But nonetheless, Bitcoin did its thing, and then alts a little bit delayed, but they started going up as well. ICX has been hovering around $1, so certainly nice to get back to that point, and hopefully we can kind of continue building momentum here.
Yeah, I didn't even see the BTC chart. There's a nice little dip happening as we speak, but we've had a solid rise. It's been nothing but green for a bit, so nothing to panic
count
about.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8 daily green candles. So in a row, and then we had yesterday's was red and today's currently red.
Yeah, look, and then we had a bit of support. Look, my loosey-goosey TA, but a lot of touching points on the dailies around the, what did I have, 44,664, which we seem to have broken, although I haven't checked up here what's going on. But yeah, you can see even with my line, a little bit of resistance up there. That's where we've stopped. But healthy retraces are good. We've broken that... we were hovering literally in 36k. God damn it, it's good. 10k. We're 10k up since a month since Jan. So
Yeah.
looking good.
Well, I'm looking at the daily, and we just literally as we touched the top of the RSI channel and hit 70, that's when it went down. So I know RSI doesn't always matter, but in this case, it looks like it almost perfectly did.
Yeah, yeah, no, good. And ICXR, we've had a bit of a run there as well. We cracked a dollar. I saw, we cracked a dollar. I've talked about this iconographer. I say I tend to not get caught up with ICX price movements anymore. It's always like this. Eventually, it's a love-hate relationship that always ends in disappointment. So I didn't get caught up. I didn't even comment, and then I saw someone tweet ICX never below a dollar again, and I thought, game over. Why put that out there? The universe will punish us, and it's happened. But look, in all honesty, again, ICX has been rising as well. I don't know if you can see my screen, but yeah, I've got this support resistance, and it seems to have just capped just before touching it, fallen, but it's healthy, it's holding. BTC seems to have dropped substantially compared to what's going on with ICX, so that's a good sign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the alts are always kind of delayed on the rise, especially when BTC moves pretty quick, which it mostly did. This past weekend there's a nice little green candle that went from mid 4400s all the way up to almost 4700 in one day. So when it moves that quickly, alts sometimes they go down, or at least they stay neutral, but eventually they get sucked up along with it.
Yeah, I think one of the common themes, just if you're thinking TA and the loosey-goosey TA that I got going on, is a lot of the downtrends seem to have been broken. If you look at it, well, not for ICX, for BTC and Ethereum, for example, there's clear trends. They seem to have been broken, which is a good thing. So even if we drop, as long as we touch off them and bounce back, we're in healthy territory. But yeah, look, as usual, not financial advice. I haven't been keeping up with the on-chain. However, I have noticed they went quiet. I don't know, do you notice this? I don't understand in a periods of extended let's call it bear cycles, and this is what we're calling extended, like a couple of months now. I don't know, the on-chainers, is it the Twitter algorithms? I don't know what happens there, but I don't see as much. I would literally have to type their name to find what they're tweeting. But I haven't been keeping a close eye. However, in the last week or two, I have noticed some of their tweets are coming into my feed, and they have been surprisingly bullish in nature in terms of.
That's probably why the tweets are coming into your feed.
Yes, of course.
Just because nothing gets more engagement than a bullish tweet, and nothing gets less than a bearish tweet. So if they've been bearish the last few weeks, probably not as much retweeting, which means they're probably not showing up in your timeline as much. But assuming they have been saying bearish stuff, which I think during bear cycles is not uncommon. But it does seem like the on-chainers do tend to be eternally optimistic, just like some of the non-on-chainers tend to be also. So.
It's hilarious because on-chainers, I mean, this time I found Will and stuff more level-headed. Like, definitely this correction, he was like, I'm not saying I'm not being bullish unless we break this. If this doesn't happen, I'm not bullish. And he was definitely putting out some cautionary tweets, etc. But it's hilarious because on-chain will still go by the data, and they weren't as heavily bearish. They just felt it would, bounce around. But from a TA perspective, it just looked doom and gloom. It's like, ha ha ha, game over, guys. 20k BTC.
Right.
So yeah, and who knows? It could still.
Well,
happen.
I think Will, as he's gotten a bigger following because he's kind of blown up, he's gotten a lot more cautious about saying anything definitive because I think if he says something bearish, everyone's in his mentions freaking out, and if he says something bullish and is wrong, everyone dunks on him. So I think he's rightfully being a bit more, not that he's trying to play both sides or anything like that, but just being a bit less explicit in terms of what direction he's sensing, or just kind of saying, he's not forcing himself to make a decision.
Yeah. No, agree. Okay, look, that's enough about markets. Let's dive into the news. First up, we have a new website for icon.community. Exciting times.
Yep, and this is I know it's been worked on for a little while. Looks very nice, very modern, very up to date. A lot of good content on there. And this is the kind of the main hub of Icon, which has evolved a number of times since Icon's inception. So, which is good. It's if we were still on the same website that we had in 2017, that would be concerning. So it's good to continue iterating. Hopefully, I think this will serve as really good resources, especially for someone who's maybe they just heard about Icon for the first time. So it helps a lot of good resources on learning more about it, kind of what Icon is and all that other good stuff. So certainly nice to see, and I expect it to continue to evolve based on new information as well as kind of what the community demands and what feedback comes through.
Yeah, look, it's nice. Nice redesign. I like on the front screen because I see a lot of this at the moment where people aren't sure what their staking APY is, and you can see on the website now it just pulls that data directly, so you can land on the landing page and see the price, the market cap, and what the staking percentage is, which is cool. The blog, another little bit of highlight is there's all of it, but there is a blog and a learn section, so you can see the foundation has been working to push away look, Iron Icon got featured. They've been they've been trying to push away from Medium. With our own blog on the foundation, they can control SEO and a lot of other things directly. So similar to what's happening on Ice and Snow, it's got its own blog. This has happened now with Icon, and there's clear calls, application for grants, so the interoperability. Now there is a page where people can apply for it. So if you're listening and you wanted to get involved, the interoperability, which is all around liquidity incentive programs, given Icon Bridge should be around the corner. There's a spot to apply. It highlights CPS, which is great. If you scroll down, one thing I love how it says build and get a grant without any KYC, etc. So there's so many opportunities, and it's a wealth of knowledge. The Learn section now has detailed breakdowns on each topic. So if you got people you want to get across Icon, ICX, and just understand fundamentally what the token's about, what all the different aspects of Icon's about, you can just send them to the Learn section. Anyway, I think it's great work there, and hopefully it keeps evolving now.
I don't think it'll be necessarily earth shattering or life changing news for those who have been in Icon for a while, but I think for those who are going to come in the pipeline and the future, which of course we always want, especially as Icon Bridge and BTB come along, I think it's a really good starting portal and can get people up to speed pretty quick. So I think current Icon probably doesn't change your whole life a whole lot, but I think down the road will make a pretty good impact.
Yeah, agree. Next up, what do we have? Okay, so this is maybe we should have structured this at the end when we talk CPS related stuff, but let's quickly cover it. I think over here we had TJ make a comment around so the Foundry Box Media has put through a proposal. So look, we know TJ very much doesn't get involved in any particular proposal. He's overlooking the growth of CPS, making changes, the evolution, that sort of stuff. He doesn't get into the daily grind of what is getting put up. So this is him. He's speaking out. He's noticed a trend. He particularly is supportive of this project because one of the things they are doing is putting money back into CPS as when the revenue comes through of the final product. And, if you heard me rant last week, and Icongraph, I know you have some views on this as well, but I did go into a big rant when we had Digital Dave on, a Fez rant around CPS, and I was calling out Gangstabet for doing it right, and obviously I've eaten my words now after saying that they've put through a CPS proposal for more funding for Gangstabet. But that aside, what we've seen is there's only a certain amount of inflation that goes to CPS, okay? I've commented that people, I feel, we're getting lazy as an ecosystem. CPS is fantastic, but I feel like it's hampering innovative ways to source funding that is happening across various chains. But the other aspect is there are a lot of people going to CPS. All of a sudden, P reps that haven't done stuff are like, oh, now they've got projects and want funding. Great, great, this is great. But what's happening is too many people are going for. There's not enough now. There's not enough inflation, which is a good problem to have. But ultimately, are the P reps being managing the CPS treasury appropriately, or just dishing to everything? So then what happens is when we have real quality gems come through, there's just no money to fund it. So obviously TJ has implemented a few things around the priority voting, etc., which is fantastic. But in the background, I've heard him talk. It would be great if there was some way where these successful projects, when they're generating revenue, then repay CPS in a certain way or some form. Then we've kind of got a inflation slash successful protocols re-adding to the treasury to keep giving to help the ecosystem expand. Now, I'm not across what FoundryBox Media, their new project. I haven't read it in detail. I full confession, and I told Icongraph with this as well. But that's just my 2 cents. So I think TJ is really
And
calling
it is
out.
just to quickly summarize it. It's a new kind of NFT platform isn't quite the right word, but a new NFT collection. But it has a lot more dimensions to it in terms of it's kind of a sci-fi theme. So that's the quick hit on it. But definitely read the whole proposal because there's a lot more in there. But I just want to at least flag that just so there's a bit more context.
Yep, no, and it's good. And specifically, so when it's live and there's income coming in, a portion of it, I think over here you can see 7.5% of all assets sales will go directly to the CPS fund at time of purchase. And this is something that obviously has caught TJ's eye, and he completely agrees with, and he's just calling it out. Like, this is the kind of forward thinking. Well, and I'm going to say this terrible. If we are being lazy, and when I say lazy, if we're not going out of our way to think post a bootstrapping from CPS, how are we going to raise funds for our project? If we're not doing that, if we're just thinking CPS is going to fund it all, well, no, it's not. And if that is the mindset, well, then you've got to start thinking, if you're not doing a token sale or you're not doing some kind of revenue generation to build your product, and you're just going to take it all from CPS, well, how are you going to give back? I think it's that simple, and I think this is exactly what he's doing here, and he's called out and doing, which I think is great.
It's kind of a little bit ironic too, because I know when a few months back there was a lot of, I think there were projects that were getting shut. The reflex was to shoot down more projects at a time when we felt there were plenty of resources available, and that maybe we should be a bit more, I don't say lenient, but that's kind of the word for certain ideas and things like that, just because we did have the resources available and felt that it was worth taking a shot and maybe giving some projects a chance. But obviously now that more and more are coming in, they're it's kind of like, not that our position has changed, but I think that now that the inverse is a problem where there's too many projects and not enough funding, whereas before there was too much funding and not enough projects. So finding that right balance is obviously the way to go.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, I think I agree with you what you're saying, that it's ideally we should try to prioritize sustainability beyond that initial CPS funding. So I don't know, I don't think necessarily like a hard and fast rule gets created, but maybe P reps can kind of come together and say, hey, let's kind of create an unofficial rule that projects can come to get funding once to get going, but there's an expectation that they are creating if they plan to kind of exist in perpetuity, that they create a self-sustaining model as part of the requirement. And if they want to come back, they're kind of bumped to the last on the list or something like that. Obviously, a hard and fast rule can sometimes create other problems, but that might be a discussion worth having and something to consider. Just because it forces better innovation, and it's kind of like if projects know they can just come and get a handout whenever things are going awry, or if they don't raise this money, it kind of creates a bit of a problem. So creating an expectation that innovation and self-generation revenue and other things like that are the expectation. I think that can help. That can only help innovation, I think.
Yeah. No, agree. I think we'll come back to and show some of the CPS proposals and talk a little bit towards the end of the episode. But yeah, look, this is good, and it's important, super important. It's what will make Icon better. So, okay. Next up, we've got Scott with a new proposal, actually. So, what is this about? Their protocol. Ah, okay. So they're talking about weighing protocol owned liquidity versus deploying capital in the money markets to earn interest, and what should the DAO, how should they allocate their funds? Are you across this, iconographer?
Yeah, I mean, I am on the surface level. I mean, I think it's an interesting question. Obviously, I would assume that the money markets would utilize. It doesn't say it in the tweet specifically, and it might say it in the post, but whether or not, I think that's kind of a more I don't say proven. Obviously, Ohm's been around a while, so it's kind of good familiar there. We know it's stable and works and delivers as expected. But obviously, the protocol liquidity is still kind of a emerging trend. Well, it's probably not emerging anymore in the space, but it's a very powerful trend. Definitely emerging on Icon. So the numbers will probably help maybe potentially dictate what makes more sense. Whether it's more profitable, especially when you adjust for risk and things like that. But I do appreciate the fact that it's not an either or, but there's kind of some thought going behind it. And I think there's probably a way to potentially do both, and that might be what they ultimately end up choosing. There might be a reason not to do that, but the fact that there's even that there's enough resources in the DAO to make it worth the discussion is a good thing. But also the fact that there's multiple options on how to deploy that capital, I think it just kind of shows that the Icon DeFi ecosystem is certainly thriving and producing economic opportunity across the board.
Yep. Look, I've had this the proposal. It's there in the tweet. Yeah, I guess I don't understand why the versus point, like with protocol owned liquidity, this is the DAO funds we're talking about. So yeah, I mean, it is smart for any of the DAOs to be making their funds work for them. Heck, I remember early on, like I was very in TJ's ear talking about, well, what's the CPS treasury doing when it's sitting there? It should be earning. And at one point he made me realize was, well, show me uh, another ecosystem where the native tokens inflation that's being held is being put to work. And then I realized, oh yeah, you can't go to that level. But the dApps that are being built, that's all they do. Like all their treasuries are kind of intertwined into, in a safe way, generating more funds. So yeah, it makes sense, but I don't know why it's versus protocol owned liquidity.
And I don't know. I think that might just be shorthand in the tweet. I don't think it's like a debate necessarily. I
Mm,
think it's just it's a presenting of two options.
okay.
I think I'm just based on how sometimes
Yeah.
Twitter language isn't always the most precise, but that's kind of how I interpreted it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that leads perfectly because we've got Karma Finance. They have deployed to testnet, and I've just got it up here. Actually, let me make sure it's visible. Great. So this is where, if you hadn't seen already, the bonding mechanism that would be in place, and I can quickly give on the YouTube video, but I'll talk through it. So yeah, the bonding mechanism is around LP tokens, right? So it still needs you to, unless they build this into the UI as well, you add your LP. So in this case, let's take the first pair, Ohm and SICX. You go and you add it into balance, you get the LP. If yes, you get the LP token, then you come here and that sum. So at the time of adding it into the LP, let's say you put $100, right? So 50 gets to SICX, 50 goes to Ohm. Right away, you come to this the marketplace, and then you can give that $100 to as a bond. You give it up, so you basically sell that $100, and over here it's saying 19%. So you will get the native token. Well, this I don't know exactly what will transpire over here. So it essentially is you're getting it. If it says the ROI is 19%, it's vesting over a period of 5 days, and you would be coming out with this much of a profit. But in the background, what's happening is you basically then sold that LP back to Karma DAO, which is holding it on behalf of the protocol, and they will never remove that money from the LP. So all of a sudden, that control is gone from market volatility or anything. Like, for example, if I still had my $100 in there and Ohm crashes to 5 cents, I may panic and withdraw the LP, which reduces the pool of money in there, which creates more volatility. So this bonding mechanism is kind of the reverse. It gives the opportunity for an individual to make money after a 5-day vesting period, but it also gives the protocol this locked liquidity, basically. So there is a start. You can test it out on testnet. So if you haven't already, you can go through the process. Obviously, I haven't gone through the process, so I couldn't talk it through end to end, but that's the basic concept of it.
Yep. And if a little while back when Karma first kind of got announced, I did a write up on it. So it's on my Medium page. So there's a chance it's a bit out of date, but I don't think so. So if you're totally coming from scratch, hopefully, I think I wrote it to basically kind of explain it from scratch. So if you're unaware of Karma DAO or how the protocol liquidity works and all that other good stuff, definitely if you go to my Medium page, type in if you go to Google iconographer Medium, it should hopefully be the first result. But you should be able to find it there for a pretty good overview of how it works and all the other good stuff.
Yeah, actually, as I focus on the screen, how terrible of me! You can see you put the bond Ohm SICX, you get a payout asset off. It's saying the Ohm token, and you're getting it in this case, you're getting it at a 19% discount based off the current market price, right? So that's what's happening here, and so there'll be other mechanics. I saw this. This is an interesting one, BNUSD. So you can issue a bond that vests for ICX. Interesting. It's sold out, obviously. 14% discount. Ooh. Look, this is exciting. Then these are the type of protocols we need, like, coming out. The DeFi, that's why I got excited around a couple more, the DEX aggregator and stuff that hit CPS, as we need more DeFi protocols, stuff that kind of locks away ICX or majority of our other DeFi tokens somehow. It just adds immense value to the ecosystem as a whole. Next up, what do we got? IconFi. They got.
Yep. There's a announcement that IconFi now supports auto staking for the band protocol, so the band token. So obviously, I think I don't know what the Venn diagram of ICX and band holder is. So if you're an ICX holder who has band, that's certainly something you're encouraged by. But I think bigger picture is IconFi continues to draw in outside networks and other things like that into their own ecosystem. Obviously, IconFi is separate from the Icon network from a blockchain standpoint, but from a relationship standpoint and a branding standpoint, very similar. I would just they're basically adjacent. So the fact I think it's it's kind of a preamble of sorts in terms of getting some of these other ecosystems plugged into IconFi just based on their they have some nice incentives as far as rewards and stuff like that. So getting them on board, I think it helps kind of lay the groundwork for the eventual interoperability. We'll have a bunch of people from other chains already familiar with Icon product to a certain extent and the Icon branding and all that other good stuff. So again, if you're sitting here holding an ICX, you probably don't care that much that band is now on IconFi. But in terms of bigger picture down the road, I think it's encouraging to see them continue to grow that little mini ecosystem.
Yeah, I agree. The more the better, and we know it's doing well. Great to see. Okay, next up, so we've had Tamashi 2.0. So this is something that dropped last night in Crafters Corner, the Twitter Spaces. But basically, if you have a badge, it automatically gets you in the whitelist of this streetwear they're trying to create. And there was another tweet that actually showed the boxes. Sorry, I'll try to find it. But yes, they're doing a few different things, and we will drop the episode. It's actually on his Twitter, so if you haven't, you can go and listen. It went for 2 hours and 4 minutes. Here we go. I've got the tweet up now. Some ideas. So you get a box with some items, hats, things like that. They're still working through it. Jump on the Discord to find out. It will be available. Everyone can ask questions around it. So, but if you haven't, definitely Ben lets a lot of alpha drop on the Twitter Spaces. So if you haven't listened, jump on it and give it a listen. But yeah, exciting stuff. There's a lot. There's so much happening in the NFT space. Winible, here we go. Next up, they have finally got the ability to, if you have purchased the wine NFT ages ago, which I have, and now, so from April 13th, I'm able to burn it, and my bottle will arrive at home all the way here in Australia. Just for that, I feel like doing it. But
Well, yeah, I'm curious how many people actually end up burning it, because I think some people probably did buy it just because they really wanted, they're big wine people and they wanted to try it. But I think the value in it is the fact that you can speculate on the wine without having to hold it. So I think people, I would imagine, well, there won't be too many people who are actually cashing in, just because I think the vision was to you can speculate on it without having to deal with having it sit around or whatever. So nonetheless, I'll be interested to see how many people end up burning theirs and getting their bottle right away.
yeah, yeah, agreed.
Not to say that you can't. If you can still get the bottle, and then at least it's in your possession, and you can still speculate it on that way, in case you're worried that the Winible, maybe the Winible headquarters, something happens or something like that. But highly unlikely. But it's kind of like similar to not your keys, not your coin.
Yeah.
Not your bottle, not your wine. I don't know.
Yeah, that makes sense. Cool. So exciting times for that, especially everyone who bought in. Next up, Gangstabet. Okay, so they are inviting. So DeFi Kingdoms has a major launch happening today, and part of that, you can see Gangstabet. Obviously, they have a close relationship with Harmony Chain, some of the other projects that they're doing. For example, Wonderland, while it's a different team, similar people, they're launching on Harmony first. So part of this, there's a land sale happening for Emerald City, which is on Icon, and part of that is they will accept Jewel, which is the native token for DeFi Kingdoms, which is a huge game on Harmony. In fact, I would go as far to say is the standout application that bought. In my eyes, that's what drew me across to Harmony. I'd heard everything, but it wasn't until people started, tweeting and calling out Jewel. Oh my God, DeFi Kingdoms, this awesome game that's wrapped in a DeFi wrapper, and you can do so many things and earn this yield on Jewel. That's what got me to explore it. So it is a big DApp for the ecosystem. It is very successful, and now we've seen them launch a new expansion, something new, this crystal aspect of it. But Jewel will be accepted when land is released, and we're seeing a lot of this come even with Gallery DAO and stuff. They're talking about integrating other chains coins as part of sales and things. It doesn't involve BTP. It involves a mechanism of, you connect that chain's wallet and then you connect ICX's wallet, and they've got a mechanism that can make it work to verify, yes, this has been supplied, and you get it on this chain. So overall, I'm a big fan of this because remember, Emerald City is on Icon. So all of a sudden you have these people who like playing DeFi games. DeFi Kingdoms is that. And they hear of Gangstabet. They have an asset not on Icon in their current game that they can use to jump into a new play to earn or new NFT game. And they may splurge a little bit, and all of a sudden we've got new users coming across to explore Icon. What NFT games are on Icon, what DeFi, etc., etc. So overall, I really like this tactic. I really like what Gangstabet are doing here. Thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think kind of similar to the IconFi situation. It's I would say laying the groundwork, because it's actually doing it. Where we're starting. It's a good direct implementation of interoperability that is kind of the whole theme of the project. So the fact that kind of we're already seeing individual projects kind of take it on and start to to basically put forth a plan on how they're going to utilize the interoperability features, rather than it's better than waiting for either Bridge or BTP to show up and then saying, okay, now that it's here, now we can figure out how to use it. It's being much more proactive. So I appreciate the projects doing that, and setting that up.
Yeah, no, agree. Excellent. Then next up, another little bit of Gangstabet. Look, we're coming. Yes, they sponsor the show, but at the same time, there has been a period of quiet, and obviously, they have been working where no one's been sitting. The scope of Gangstabet has expanded a lot. And now we're seeing a lot of that work that has been happening. They're starting to push out a bit of content around it. So now you can see the neighborhood, how it would work. I'm assuming this little box that got highlighted is someone's controlling a zone that they've talked about. But final. It's not the final version, so keep that in mind. Now, as you can imagine, Gallery DAO is probably sitting in there somewhere. Who knows? I'm just guessing here, but this is part of the metaverse, the gangsterverse that they're creating, and it's good to see that they're starting to tease this stuff out.
I'm interested. I'm interested and excited to see kind of like how exactly if there's multiple layers on how different properties value. In the obviously again this is kind of like a to a certain extent I don't want to read too much in the screenshot because it is not even close to final or anything like that. But the part where they mentioned that there's a lot of traffic here, so therefore there's a lot of activity, so it's potentially valuable real estate, stuff like that. I'm interested to see what different variables there are in the universe and how they impact potential prices and what makes certain popular properties in high demand or not, and kind of like the best way to kind of process that information too. Because one of the regrets I have is I didn't realize this until later on, but one of my Gangstabets was it's pretty rare, relatively speaking, but I didn't figure that out at the time because I didn't have a good way to kind of do the analytics on it. So I ended up maxing out like my least rare Gangstabet just because I kind of liked how it looked. With I leveled that one up instead of leveling the other one up. So that's a regret. So I'm kind of hopefully there's a better way for at least for me to process the information related to the land and figure out, okay, rather than just like clicking the first tile in like a total land grab situation and just hoping it's the best one. Hopefully there's I could be cool about figuring out what the best one to buy is, and not making the same mistake twice, but we'll see.
Yep. No, well, that leads perfectly into leads into the Rarity Hunter. So we know that there was a demo made. It won in the hackathon an award, and we have a product now. So had we had this, you could have looked up which was rare, and then so we have that now, and you can see the ghost. So there was a ghost whale that went around acquiring all the ghosts. Clearly knew what he was doing because basically the ghosts.
Well, I think, and that one's pretty straightforward, just because I think it just I think it said there's only X number of ghosts. Yeah. So there's some that are very easy to do. It's just the ones that are a bit more nuanced. I think the one that got me was it didn't click that there were different backgrounds, and there were some backgrounds that were more unique than others. That was my downfall. But anyway.
Okay. Yeah. No, I didn't even know there were martini backgrounds. Okay. Look, the Rarity tool, great. I have tried to search my NFT. I don't understand. That's probably my only criticism. I find it very slow. And I've tried to search. It's saying project name, so obviously it's going to support many projects, which is cool. However, I would like to search. I remember the first iteration, and I think that's what this grew from. You could just search your NFT ID and it would populate. I hope that functionality is coming. That was cool. Otherwise,
that was the most helpful part, just because you could I think they're 6 digits long or whatever.
Yeah.
So you could just type in your whatever your ID number was for your Gangstabet, and it would pop up. So I assume either A, it is there and we just haven't been able to find it, or B, they're going to add it soon, just because it's obviously a very helpful feature.
Yeah. Cool. So great work. Let's hope that comes about. Again, CPS funded, so let's hope. I'm interested again, something like this. So how is it going to be sustainable? Coming back to that sustainability, how does this becomes sustainable. That's interesting. Does it keep going back to CPS for more funding? That doesn't seem ideal. But overall, yeah, let's hope there's a game plan there.
I wonder if they could, like maybe make a premium version. So maybe if you donate like X number of ICX, then you can unlock a feature that makes it easier to detect rarity or something like that. That would be. I'm just tossing out free ideas.
That I was
Don't know if they're
just
good or
I
not,
was just
but
going to say, there you go, free idea right there. Boom.
yeah,
Um, Later on, if it gets implemented, you can go in and go, "Hey, where'd you get it from?"
right.
Commission. Cool. Look, I think that's Gangstabet news. There's not much else to cover this week. I thought we would spend a little bit of time. If you didn't know, next round CPS has gone live. A few things to note. The Icon 2.0 is still getting updated. One key component is, as we know, inflation routes to CPS. This part is still not happening. It is now, I believe, the new plan that's going to get come out will have April, early April, these changes to get implemented. It took a little longer than anticipated. So, what has been happening is the foundation has been topping up CPS to ensure there's adequate funding. But if you're wondering what's been happening to that CPS, from my understanding, that portion just basically is not going anywhere and won't be able to get it. So it's getting burnt essentially until this change comes about. So with that in mind, we've seen now new round of CPS. There isn't as much funding in CPS this round, but there's a ton of projects that want money. I have strong views. I mentioned earlier I saw Gangsterverse come in with Emerald City for more funding. I eat my words on what I said last week and went on a rant about getting done right, kind of, if they've come back for more funding. And look, credit to them. They've been very transparent and honest as to why they've come back to more funding, for more funding. But yeah, it comes back down to have things been managed treasury wise the right way to have and raise an NFT sale and things like that to come back for funding. But who am I? It seems like everyone's coming to CPS for everything. So overall, I encourage everyone as voters. This is stuff you should be looking at. This is what I'll be very open here. If you voting and your node is giving you some token, and that's not essentially benefiting the ecosystem. You kind of got to come here and go, well, are your PREVs sponsoring the right projects? Not building, sponsoring, because they're node operators. They're not PREVs or the old design. They operate a node. They should be helping teams get funding and the right kind of projects and stuff get funding through CPS. So I often like to come in and go, okay, well, what's their reasoning? And then one thing I like to look at personally is I go down to the approvals, and I like to see, like, for example, here's a team, they've come back, everyone's approving. Cool, no commentary. See, it's great. Few teams actually put through commentary. I like to read what they're saying, taking the time to say. And on the other side, like, we've got some rejections on this proposal. I like to come and see, well, who's rejecting it and what are they saying. So here's a rejection on the CPS venture fund. We can see though, people actually really like the idea, but PREPs are rejecting it just due to the timing of it, with so many other projects asking for funding. So, to me, it shows PREPs are active, they care about the ecosystem, they're taking time to actually comment and talk through why they're voting versus not voting. So, yeah, I encourage voters to do that. This is more important in the end. If the right projects are getting funding and they get built out, that is what will add value to ICX, not some cool new token that's being distributed. Yeah, that's all I have to say. I can go.
Yeah, I don't. Nope, I don't have much to add. I pretty much agree with everything you said there. I just, it is, like, I kind of circling back around a little bit. It is nice that the problem now is that we have too many proposals, quote unquote, too many proposals relative to the amount of resources we have. So it's certainly a good sign that CPS is getting more visibility, getting more adoption, and down the pipeline leading to more and more products on products and materials and all that other good stuff for Icon and
Yep.
on Icon.
Yep. Agree. The delivery driver's back. My dog just has this thing for one delivery drive that doesn't even deliver to our house, but the second she hears a door with it, she goes nuts. Um, but yes, look, it's a good problem to have, and there's some cool things. We've got the Ledger Live Fling, and I like the NFT ideas as well. So, um, this is a good one as well. So this was a cool, different one that I thought that came up, which was a comprehensive study to produce an article that benefits Polkadot and BTP interoperability. Uh, and look, I think these kind of things, I have seen a little bit of this, and it's great to see it's getting approved. What's different? It's $4,000, but what's cool about this is that the goal of the article is very much to have a professional in the field write it and really talk through its use cases and why it's different from some of the other interoperability solutions, and from that angle. And I think that's probably something we are lacking, and it's great to see. I can see FOMO is involved in this. I know he's also reached out personally and had chats around what the appetite would be, and I was personally all for it, because it's one thing to keep building as well, but it's also great to have articles out there that aren't foundation published, that talk about our tech. Someone who's actually looked into it and gone, oh, this is what your tech does versus Cosmos versus all these others in detail. So uh, I think I hope to see more of that. We've always said it's not just about projects; it's about everything CPS. So this was a great little surprise that came through in my eyes.
I think it's a couple other points to add is that Cyrus, who's the technical lead at Icon, is he's kind of supervising the project. So obviously a good resource involved there, incredible resource, and also ICX Station is the sponsor P rep. So both good proposal, but also vouched for by some high profile people.
Agree. Excellent. Okay, that's all we had. Iconographer for the news. Is that true?
Yep, kind of a relatively. I mean, I think compared to a year ago or a bit more than a year ago, this would have been like a jam-packed episode. But just good. But relatively speaking, it's a little bit less of a news week this week. But overall, we have more and more stuff to talk about pretty much every week. So
Yeah.
the trend is certainly good.
Yep, look, calm before the storm. I actually mean that. It is the calm before the storm. We have an exciting month coming up. I know people are probably anxiously waiting Icon Bridge, Icon Bridge. It has been hinted in April. I think we should have some updates. Again, with the latest bridge hack, the longer, not the longer, the more testing and stuff that is done in the background, the better it is, given that we will go live based on the last article with then product that is going through audits, so it'll have a disclaimer, and then once the audits are completed, keeping that in mind. But yeah, I think exciting times, and a lot's going to happen in the month of April. So as always, not financial advice. Do your own research. We're just a couple of guys that care about the ecosystem and talk through everything that's going on in it via weekly news and interviews. But as always, like, share, subscribe if you like our content. And if you have any feedback, reach out in Telegram or on the YouTube comments and let us know. Take care, everyone.
See ya.